So it all comes down, you bring those three things and we go another layer. It all comes down to one reason. There's one reason that you have to nag and yell and remind. There's one thing that's happening that's causing like all of those things that is causing you to talk the way you do and discipline the way you do and all of that. Okay, so here's some science for you. I want you to imagine this. Okay, imagine your child, and actually not just children, but people in general, we have three separate brains, okay? The first brain is this red brain, okay? The reptilian brain. The reptilian brain, so what happens is this. All information, the reptilian brain is like the gatekeeper. So all information that's coming into your child's brain, it goes through the reptilian brain first. The role of the reptilian brain is to decide whether or not that their environment is safe. The role of this part of the brain is to keep them safe and to keep them surviving. Okay, this is where our survival comes from. Everything that takes place here is fight or flight for survival. So this is like the gatekeeper of the brain. Okay, this part of their brain identifies any threat in their environment, and based on the level of threat in their environment, it'll decide whether it's safe enough to go through the gates into the next part of the brain, which I'll talk about in a moment, or if they need to go into survival to protect themselves and they need to fight, which means they argue, they rebel, they go against you, okay, or flight. They just get away from you, they withdraw, they isolate, they go to their rooms, they don't want to be around you, they try to talk to you as little as possible, okay? Fight or flight happens in that part of the brain. Now, hear me very clearly, parents. Your child gets no choice over which part of the brain is activated. We are the ones, you are the one that will determine which part of your child's brain processes any of the information that you're coming at them with based on what their brain can identify in the environment. Okay, if they perceive you to be a threat because you're using words or you're shouting or if their brain perceives you as a threat, they don't get to choose. They're not choosing to not listen to you. That is their brain keeping them safe. Okay, so if this part of the brain says, yes, this is a safe environment, then the information goes through those gates into the green part of the brain. It's called the mammalian brain. This is where we are mammals, okay? The other name for it is the limbic system. So this is where all of our social cohesion takes place. This is where we are pack animals. We have to belong to the herd. We want the safety of the herd. We want connection with the herd, okay? So this is where all connection takes place. And then there's the third part of the brain called the neocortex. Now, hear me very clearly here. The neocortex doesn't even begin to develop until 8 years old. It's not fully developed until 28 years old. Okay, it starts to develop at 8, and then at around about 11 or 12, until about 16 to 18, it goes offline for a little while. Okay, so it starts developing and then it kind of lays low while their body prioritizes more important things like their reproductive systems and all of those things, and then it comes back online. So if you have a child that's under the age of 8 years old, they don't even have this part of the brain. So here you are as an adult with a fully formed neocortex, and this is the part of our brain that's responsible for all of our decisions and our thinking, our ability to think about what we should do or what we shouldn't do, or what the repercussions are, or what my mum told me yesterday, and that I should get in the bath and I should unpack my school bag when I come home, or like all of that kind of stuff takes place in the neocortex. And for most of you, your children don't even have a neocortex. And for those of you who have children who are older than 8 years old, here's the next thing. If they have grown up in an environment where their brain has constantly activated reptilian, then there's impairments to the development of their neocortex, okay? And it's even harder to get through the gates of their reptilian brain because their brain has been wired to know that their environment, more often than not, is not safe. They're going to be yelled at, they're going to be disapproved of, denied, dismissed, disowned, abandoned, rejected, whatever the deal is, okay? I'm going to show you how to fix it all tonight. But here's something I want you to know when it comes to why your kids don't listen, right? One problem. The way that you are raising them is activating their reptilian brain. Now, There's one part of the brain only, one part of the brain that houses the memory. If you want your children to not only do what you're telling them right now, but to remember that tomorrow and the next, every single day after, mate, you've got to unpack the dishwasher. Dude, when you come home, this is after dinner, it's bath. This is what we do. Like, if you want your children to remember to pack things up, to use their manners, if you want them to naturally not just do it this one time, but do it tomorrow, the next day, and forever, then any time you speak to them, you have to take responsibility to make sure that whenever you interact with them, that you are doing it in a way that allows their mammalian brain to process the information. And only you get to, your child does get zero choice in which part of their brain receives the information that you're coming at them with. You determine which part of their brain receives the information based on what kind of environment you create as you approach this conversation. If it feels safe, even if they're in trouble, I'm all for boundaries. I'm all for consequences, okay? We'll talk about that later. Even if they've done something wrong, if you can learn how to make it feel safe to have that conversation so that you can have this conversation without activating the reptilian brain, only then, only if they are in mammalian brain, will they have any chance of ever remembering what you've just said, of that file that you're putting into their brain, of that being saved by their brain so that they can use it again and again every single day. Does this make sense?